Hi, my name is Behruz Amuzgar. In this video, we're going to talk about calculation of closing costs on a residential real estate sale. As the seller, one of the main questions that you may have is what is the exact amount of money that I'm going to receive upon closing? In order to calculate this amount, there are two steps that we need to complete. Step number one, you want to find out exactly how much you're receiving from the purchaser. In step number two, we want to find out exactly what amounts and for what purposes are being deducted from the amount that you are receiving from the purchaser. Let's go through step number one with an example. Let's assume that you're selling your property for $600,000. And let's assume that the purchaser has paid your real estate brokerage $50,000 in form of a deposit. Oh, you may say that the calculation is really easy. $600,000 minus $50,000 is $550,000. And you are correct. However, in that calculation, you're not taking into account adjustments. Adjustments are calculations for prepaid expenses. So for example, let's say your closing is taking place on September 12th. And as the seller, you've paid the entire amount of realty taxes, which means that you've covered taxes until December 31st. So of course, you need to be paid back the amount that you've paid from September 12th until December 31st. In this case, let's assume that your tax for the year is $2,937.64. So that's $2,937.64 for 365 days. Your lawyer, in a document called Statement of Adjustments, will divide that amount by 365 to arrive at the daily fee for realty taxes, and will multiply that by 255 days, which is the exact number of days from January 1st until September 12th. When we do this calculation, we arrive at $2,046.72, which is the amount that you should have paid. However, you've paid the full amount, which means that the purchaser will need to pay you an additional $890.92. A similar calculation is also completed for condo fees if you are selling a condo. Because condo fees are usually paid on the first day of the month, if you have a closing on the 12th day of the month, you want to be reimbursed for day 12 until the last day of the month. In this case, let's assume that the condo fees are $599.66. Your share for the 11 days would be $219.88, which means that $379.78 will need to be paid back to you. After we do this calculation, we arrive at a number which is commonly referred to as the balance due on closing, in this case being $551,270.70. So now let's assume that your lawyer receives this money from the purchaser. We want to talk about all the various deductions. Of course, you need to pay out your existing mortgages. I know that a lot of clients tell me that I have checked my mortgage statement online and I know that X amount is outstanding to the bank. However, you need to take into account that oftentimes the bank charges you a penalty for prepayment. That is, if you are making your payment prior to the end of the term, that penalty could vary depending on your mortgage terms, but your lawyer typically sends a payout request to your bank and receives what is referred to as a payout statement. Payout statement tells you exactly how much you need to pay to your bank as of closing day, and for any single day of delay, they tell you how much extra you need to pay. That's called the per diem charge. For the purposes of our example, let's assume that the amount that you owe to your bank is $356,275.58. Now, the next possible deduction, is the amount that you may owe to your real estate brokerage. Remember that your real estate brokerage is holding on to the deposit that the purchaser paid. In this case, the $50,000 is with the brokerage. So the question that needs to be answered is that amount sufficient for the payment of the commission? Because the real estate brokerage deducts their commission from the deposit. So we need to calculate the commission. For the purposes of our example, let's assume that the commission payable is 5% on a purchase price of $600,000, that is $30,000. Always remember that HST is added to the commission payable to the real estate brokerage. And in this case, we note that the $50,000 is indeed sufficient, and you will have to, in fact, receive $16,100 back from your real estate brokerage. This amount is paid back to you after closing. and directly by the real estate brokerage. The last deduction is the legal fee, which can vary depending on where you go, but for the purposes of our example, let's assume that that is $1,017. Once we do the math, we realize that the amount that you are going to be left with is $193,978.12. So just by way of a summary, in this video, we quickly reviewed the calculation for a sale of a residential property in Ontario, and we refer to two documents. Number one is Statement of Adjustments, which you can think about as an invoice or a bill which is issued by the seller to the purchaser, telling the purchaser how much exactly is due on closing after calculation of adjustments. And the second document that we talked about is a trust ledger. And trust ledger, you can think about it as a snapshot of the lawyer's bank account which pertains to your transaction. On the right-hand side, you see the amounts that have been received by your lawyer, and on the left-hand side, you see all the various deductions, and finally, the last deduction, which is the amount that was paid to you. I hope you've enjoyed this video and look forward to creating more videos for you.